was going.
No. Now I'm re-introing. The intro music is playing. You can't hear it.
You only have a half hour, and we've wasted
26 minutes. Shoot. Okay, we got to go. We got to get the good stuff. Welcome to another Parker Brown Songs of the Month. I'm here with one of my bestest friends in the whole world, Matthew Ward Blakeslee, who is an artist, a venue owner, a theater builder, a community-minded individual.
Well, thank you.
No,
yeah.
you're like a community boss. You're like on all the boards in the.
Yeah, to my wife's chagrin.
Yeah, right.
She's so happy. We had a conversation about it this morning. It went great.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you're beloved anywhere you go is really what that means.
That's
right?
why I only go to 2 or 3 places to just guarantee that wherever I'm going, your house is one of them. But other than that, there's 2 or 3 places I will go.
Yeah. You want to be.
Then I'm beloved.
It's like Cheers.
Yeah.
It's like you want to go.
My home? Nah, it's an iffy one.
Yeah.
I can go to Parker's house. Your boys seem to like me. I like it.
Yeah, you're a legend, dude.
Well, thank you for the kind words. I should just say that.
Right.
Okay.
I know. It's hard to stare another man in the eyes in a small
I'm
room
enjoying it.
and
It's great.
hear
Yeah.
nice things about yourself.
I feel like I'm doing good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like you do that to people, though. I was listening. Matt has a pod. You have 2 podcasts right now.
Art House has 2 podcasts. Yep.
Art House
I am on
that
2
you
Art House
are
podcasts. Yes.
The leader of
Sure. Yep.
the tip of the spear of the Art House podcast.
Okay.
But I that was my favorite thing. I listened to. Was it Gordon
McConnell. Yep.
McConnell?
Yep.
Great podcast. But you were like buttering.
Yeah.
You were like, I don't want to puff you up. I don't want, and I was like, oh, this is just Matt Blakeslee.
Sure.
And it almost felt like he was, I don't know what it was like in the room,
Yeah.
but you could tell some people maybe aren't used to that
Yeah.
kind of like.
Well, and Gordon's funny. I think I said it on the podcast. I know I've said it to him in the past, but it's like, Gordon, when you and I get together, like, it just feels like we're trying to out-compliment each other because I respect that man so much that
Yeah.
I just want him to know, like, how incredible and amazing and, beautiful of a person that man is. And he just tries to, like, it's like ping-ponging
jousting
back and forth. Yeah, yeah.
with
We're not absorbing
compliments.
anything that's actually being said. We're just taking the compliment. Like, sorry, I hit the mic. Yeah. Anyways,
Yeah, it's funny.
so we can do that because I can compliment.
No,
you,
I don't
buddy.
want. This isn't about me.
Okay.
This is about you. My favorite thing from that podcast is, by the way, I'm just going to say it on the mic because I forgot to say it earlier. Was when you go, we're basically saying the same thing, and he
Yeah.
goes, yeah, we're kind of saying the same thing with varying perspectives.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, that's how his mind.
Yeah.
Like there's those people that are just
Yeah.
like, not technically.
Well, my insecurity, I want to jump in that moment. Like, well, what do you mean?
Yeah,
Are
I
we
know.
not the same? Like, because again, I love and respect him so much. I felt it in the moment.
Okay.
But
I just love that because that's so much like what happens to me where
Yeah.
I'm like, we're connecting. And then the other person's like, well, not technically.
kind
but
of.
Pretty
Yeah,
much. Like,
yeah.
This is as close as you're going to get.
Yeah.
But Matt, let's do a backstory on you. It's going to be long because I feel like your story is like deep and interesting and quite the hero's journey and is
Okay.
even still in the process, right? You
Mhm.
know, as all of ours are. But maybe a backstory of like late Faith Chapel to and maybe tie in music there, but then
Okay.
like the reason you moved on and started this like feeling of having a heart for the community.
Okay.
Kind of where we were sitting at the Burger Dive, 12 years ago or whatever, and then, kind of where we're at.
Yeah.
now.
So, as you said, this could be really long. So I'll just, cliff notes it and then
Sure.
we can jump in wherever you want. You've obviously been a large part of all of that. So I think that needs to be known out of the gates. This is not an unbiased question. Parker Brown leading the witness with knowing all the details and facts.
I already know the story.
Asking questions.
Where were you on the night?
So I was, the like most basic way to say it is I was born and raised in the church, and specifically here in Billings at Faith Chapel, which is a larger church out on the West End. And that was my life on so many levels. So much of my community and identity and family relationships came out of that. So at a very young age, that that was all I wanted to do, and felt like this is the peak of life, to be in this kind of sphere and to spend my time and energy on this. So I went to Bible school there, became a pastor, and was doing a lot of music out at Faith Chapel. Started in the youth groups and doing it for the youngins as a youngin myself, and then ended up getting an internship and being on staff eventually. And at the end of my tenure there, I was on staff for 10 years. At the end of my tenure there, was not just doing music, but was also speaking or teaching, preaching on the weekends, and really loving everything about it.
Yeah.
But in the midst of that, I think I was about to turn 30, and I don't think 30 was the issue necessarily. I think it was 10 years, and like my whole life had been that identity. Started to wonder, as much as I love this place and I love these people, is there something different that I want to do? And so having conversations with my wife Kate, and just kind of starting to dream and think about, well, what could this look like? And I mean, it was interesting to. It was scary, terrifying to think about like leaving that, because again, like felt really, really great there. But in the midst of these conversations with my wife, we started talking about, well, do we want to go somewhere else? Let's just start there. And it ended up that we wanted to stay in Billings. And if we're going to stay in Billings, is there something that we could do and we could be a part of in our community that maybe isn't as church related, but is something that is our own interest, but we believe that other people in our community would be interested in seeing this thing in Billings as well. And I am not a movie buff by any means. Like there's a lot of movies I haven't seen. There's a lot of information and history and all that stuff that I don't know, that the average person probably is a better movie historian than I am. But in the midst of that, we had these experiences, Kate and I, at independent movie theaters, and saw them as this incredible opportunity to experience things that felt like they were off the beaten path, but were still really significant in our culture and significant for art and moving this medium forward and storytelling and all those kinds of things. And so we started talking about, well, what if we were to do a movie theater and bring independent cinema to Billings? And so that set us on the journey to start Art House, which started 10 years ago. At the same time, because so much of my identity was tied up in this church thing, was also like interested in, can I do two things? So can we start a movie theater, and what if we were to start like a faith community, a church, and do something that for Kate and I felt just truly authentic to who we were. I think, not knowing what your listener base is, but I think most people would understand it's common to find yourself in a community of people, and the larger that community gets, the more you potentially need to abandon some of your own like personal identity and beliefs for the sake of the greater community, right? Because there's a whole lot of ideas and thoughts and beliefs and experiences in this. And not to say that Kate and I's was like the most important or the most significant, but we felt like there's an opportunity to create some authenticity around this thing called faith or belief, or conversations for us specifically around the life and the teachings of Jesus, that we can go down some paths that maybe might be controversial or questioned in the broader context. Yeah. But for us, it's just us being authentic in our own kind of faith and experiences. So we started CMYK at the same time, and so for a period of time, was doing this faith community CMYK and was doing Art House at the same time. And then I think in 2020, when everything happened and we were just doing online church, whatever that means, was the time that I had my own personal kind of traumas and things that I was going through and processing. And in the midst of that, for the first time, asked myself the question, I've been in this like church world identity thing my whole life. What if I removed? What if I didn't do that? Mm-hmm. And so, as you know, I took some time off. We just kind of pushed pause on CMYK. It was 2020. We felt like if we're going to do it, now's the time. Yeah. And so we did that, and basically came out of that long season. And again, for the first time, I felt like, you know what? I think there's an identity about who I am, or the work that I want to do, the energy I want to pour into the people and the community around me. that isn't centered around this thing called church. And so that's when made the decision to fully, just not that I wasn't full time at Art House, but like that was going to be the work the sole work that I was doing from a professional standpoint. And I say all that to get to your community question around, like, in the midst of that, since starting Art House, I think, we started Art House with like, man, a movie theater would be cool in downtown Billings. Sweet, and seeing, yes, that happening and being so just surprised and grateful for all the support and people who were part of it. But at the core of that for me was not, oh, we got to see this independent, French film that never would have come to Billings. The core of it was seeing the community of Billings come together, experience art and culture together, and having connections and conversations around it, being like, oh, this is the juice to squeeze out of this thing. That really has significance and meaning. And how are we, again, not just bringing movies, but how are we connecting our community to each other and to themselves, and stirring conversations and thoughts and ideas. And so that's, was a pivot, and nothing like formal wise. It wasn't like we did a rebranding or anything like that, or marketing campaign. We just became very intentional as Art House, board of directors, the staff, myself, around this is why this thing exists, and this is what we want to spend our time and energy in. And so much of the energy, as many people probably know, so much of the energy of Art House was just like building the thing and validating the idea around, I think this could work in Billings. And so we got to that point, and we opened Art House fully. We called it Phase 2 for years. Now it's just Art House. But Art House with 3 screens and a restaurant, and truly, like, for us, this connecting piece in the community. At the time, we also had taken on the Babcock Theater, with the same mission of, here's this historic, beautiful theater just a block away that had sit dormant most of my life. Yeah. And so the opportunity to activate that space as a connection space as well. And I think the beauty of that place is it's so much more and deeper than even just seeing a film in that place. It's the history of it as well, that people are connecting with the history of Billings. And I just had a conversation with somebody yesterday about, like, I had my first date there. It was awesome. I saw this movie, and they have stories to tell, right. And it's a part of their identity in Billings, Montana. And so, Art House continues, I hope and believe, continues to grow in its mission and vision of being that kind of connective tissue to our community, bringing some, a level of pride and energy and joy about what Billings is and the stories we get to connect around, whether it's on the screen or with one another and what we're doing. So all that to say, that pivot from where I was growing up in that environment to being where I am now, community is a big piece of that.
Yeah.
Was that the right answer?
So much
Again,
there.
you know that you knew what the answer was. Did I get it right, Parker?
I think you did a great job.
Thank you.
And I'm like, it's kind of fun to hear it, in retrospect, the way
Sure.
that you can just take this story and just being there and being there for so many of those moments, and then not even just those big key moments of, like, Matt wasn't just like leaving Faith Chapel. You were great at what you did. You were a great communicator and preacher, and then leaving sort of at, like, you could have been set for your whole life.
Sure.
Like, and we have some friends that are doing great in that world. And so you definitely could have been set for life and had, like,
and
smooth
again,
as
great
glass,
people and
great,
loving it. Yeah, it wasn't like I was grumpy and mad about something.
No, and so to leave that, really hearing the calling of that, and then, that stirring inside of your heart, and then being like, I have to do something hard. Yep. And then not having any idea how hard that was going to be, as we like make these, life is just a series of choices, but we make this choice, and it's like, oh,
yeah,
as they all are. And I think to achieve that true identity of ourselves, it's not going to be easy. Like, we kind of do get tested by the fire of
I say
our heart's desire.
Regularly, now when I'm telling the story of Art House, that Art House is a journey of optimistic ignorism. Like,
right.
We're just ignorant of what we didn't know, but we had this optimism of, like, yeah, we can do this, right? And it's just like, I mean, if you've ever heard me do a fundraising pitch, you've heard me say, which is a true statement, my first day, quote unquote, of being in the art house path was me Googling how do you start a movie theater. Like I had no clue what to do. Like and so every day continues to be that optimistic ignorism that we're just gonna keep swinging. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's I think part of the beauty of being in Billings, Montana is, and I've seen this as, I always loved like the scrappy upstart, like we're all DIY to some degree,
Sure.
And you were just that same way. Like, how do I start a theater? All right, I'm going to call my friends. We're going to buy this place. We're all going to knock down walls and,
Yep.
Do from start to finish, try to do as much as we can on our own, which is very much like somehow our generations, or maybe, I don't know, that mindset's way of doing things, like rather than we don't get the easy way in Billings necessarily. So we have to like do it our own way, which is what our souls, I think, really desire.
Yeah. And I think, to your community point, that was, I understood. And I think, there's a lot of benefit in growing up in the environment and space that I did. But for me, stepping out to do this art house thing, knowing out of the gates, this is not going to be a solo effort. This is not going to be a financially supported effort. This is going to be, and has to be, a community supported effort. And so you're right. Like the first day, we had 45 people, like not OSHA approved. Like
no, I almost killed Gregory's daughter, knocking a wall down.
Yes, exactly. So, anyways, so many, not moments like that, but so many moments where it's like this, and the initial build out of Art House, the Art House Phase 2, reopening the Babcock when we did that in 2018. All of that was people showing up to be a part of this thing and to help make this thing happen. So I'm ignorant of a lot. I'm not ignorant of the fact that, like, sure, I get to be the guy that is the executive director, founder, whatever, but like this truly is a community thing.
Well, and what's interesting to think about right now that just came to me is like you had everybody, we showed up for coffee and donuts and then put in time and sweat equity. But then as you built this thing that way, people started noticing it and then giving financially.
Yeah.
So then for Phase 2, you got to use a lot more professional people.
Yep.
Like we were, still there painting, and you were doing so much on your own. I mean, you did a ton on your own, but you were able to hire out, and now you're with the Babcock using probably, you're only going to be able to use.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, in May we had a ceiling collapse at the Babcock. About a quarter of the ceiling fell down in the middle of the night. So luckily no one was there. But we're trying to navigate what it looks like to reopen the theater and to do it safely. And there's a lot of that process that is like, it's really big. It's way up high in the air. A lot of, risk there. And then it's a historic space that we, this is not Matt Blakeslee's sheetrock, company just throwing up some boards and saying, I think we got her.
Yeah.
Like we are incredibly honored and take it as a huge responsibility to make sure that we honor the historic preservation of that place as well. So to your point, yes, now
it's kind of interesting.
Hopefully we're in a place we don't know yet. We're still waiting for insurance to figure out what they're going to do and come through on. But we know that it's a community effort, and a big part of the community at this point is going to be the professionals.
Yeah.
Not Gregory's daughter.
Right.
No offense.
No, she did great.
She did great.
She jumped out of that way of that wall so fast, thank God.
You were just testing her reflexes. Way to go, man.
Yeah. But I think that's kind of fascinating. Like it moves from like that area of the DIY to then it's like a monetary like thing, and just keeps growing on a level. Which
I think, I know that I assume there's a lot of like creators, artists that are a part of this, like, or that listen to this podcast. I think what's interesting about that, one of the things that and maybe this is just me, but I think this is probably true of anybody that's trying to create or start something, like the amount of time you think it's going to take to get more people on board with your thing, whether it's listeners or fans or, whatever, like the scenario that you create and the reality that's found, that time just continue to stretch it. It took us almost 10 years to get Art House to Phase 2 open,
Right.
And I know that there were many myself included, you have nights where it's like, man, we're 2 years into that. We're 3 years into fundraising. And it's like, I mean, it's so grateful for the donations, but we've got a $2.2 million project we're trying to do. And I've looking at a bank account with $50,000
Right.
in it. I'm like, whoa, are we crazy? That
Right.
kind of thing. And I'm sure, I would just say that, like, I think a lot of artists, creators have probably experienced that before of like, where I am and where I want to be, the time to get there is probably a lot longer than we anticipate.
Yeah. And I wonder if it's a detriment or a like blessing in disguise for those people that blow up huge right away.
Sure.
Like we see like a Joe Rogan and we go, I could, maybe that would happen to
Yep,
me.
yep.
Like I just sat in my basement and talked to my buddies,
Yep.
but, and so when you start, you kind of have that, well, what if,
Yep.
but as you get older, you realize if I just keep doing this, like I'll hopefully find more people, but
Yep.
I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Like,
Yeah, there's a sustainability you got to be honest about, but at the
Yeah.
same time, the bridge from I'm sustainable to I'm actually accomplishing what I wanted to accomplish, those two aren't always the same thing. Like,
Mhm.
you can be sustainable as a musician and be like, okay, I'm making it. But again, being a musician or an artist usually has those glory stories attached to it. That you're not, looking, for this ego-driven story, but there's this part of you that's what success looks like. And so even if you're sustainable, sometimes it doesn't feel like you're successful. You still got to
Yeah.
push. I think for us at Art House, to that sustainability place, it took us a while, took us a long time. And now I feel like we're there and we're still monitoring things. Obviously the Babcock being down isn't great, but how do we, what does it look like for us to continue to move forward with our vision and mission and maybe not, I think people have talked or asked questions or even offered different ideas and even some resources around like, well, let's start Art House, outdoor theater, or let's start Art House on the West End, or,
Right.
What if you wanted to go to this community and, that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that those are necessarily bad ideas, but trying to just be honest about what's sustainable rather than, that glory story of, Art House, Montana,
Right.
kind of taking over the region. So
Yeah. And that's a whole nother,
sorry, that was a left turn, but
no, it's,
Throw 'em on
I was going to say that's a whole nother conversation of like, yeah, where you want to go. But it sort of ties into what I was thinking is like, you and I are two people that just like don't give up.
yeah.
And whatever, like,
Yeah.
I'm not even saying for better or for worse,
Yeah.
but I think that is one thing that I've noticed a lot of people, even that are like more talented than me
Mhm.
in my life, where I go, oh, I just like keep going. And it was almost like, where you said you're ignorant towards a lot of things, but it's the saying, I think my grandpa would say it, where he's like, I've got more back than brains.
Okay. I like that.
Which
Yeah.
And I feel like that's sort of us in a way, like, figuratively, and especially in your case.
Yeah, I mean, you and I have had conversations about it, but almost a year ago, I ended up having medical leave, had back surgery, and was like just kind of alone with my thoughts for 6 weeks, was totally out of the Art House world. Like Art House had created space for basically a sabbatical for me, and it turned into medical leave. And in the midst of that was the first time in this whole journey I asked myself the question, which for me personally had been 12 years at that point. First time in 12 years, I asked myself the question, do I want to keep doing this?
Yeah.
To your point of like, you just keep going.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like some existential crisis, but it was this interesting, like, I don't ask that question enough, because there's a lot of people that, I mean, they go to work most days and they're like, is this really what I want to do with my life? And right, wrong, or indifferent, to your point, it's like, we just kind of keep going. And
Yeah.
then we realize it's been 12 years. Do I want to keep doing this Art House thing? I mean, I think the church thing, COVID was the thing for me on that as well, of like the first time in my life, I'm like, do I actually want to be a pastor? Is this what I want to do? And it felt so foreign and weird. And so there's
Just
probably
even ask that question.
Yeah. And I know that it's what you're doing musically and those kinds of things. Like, should I just go like start a company or go get a job and probably make more money, have a little more stable income, all of those kinds of things. But for whatever reason, we're not asking ourselves those questions.
Yeah.
And there's some good that's come of it, because I think art house is a thing because of that.
Right.
Ignorance, but it's also, it makes you wonder sometimes.
Yeah, and I think as we get older, we've both had those moments. We're kind of having similar moments, and I mean, I've talked about it a lot where I joke, like, you know, our friend Ethan Canning, who's with NAI, it's like, hey, do you think I could get a job being a commercial real estate agent? You know, thankfully there's Ethans out there that are like, no, you need to do this art thing.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like, it's so tempting to want to do that, but really checking and making sure you're not like adhering to like a sunk cost fallacy, like, oh, well, I bought all these instruments, I have all this gear, I'm good at music. Like, is the best thing for me to continue music, or is the best thing for me to go and do something else and really like get to the essence of that thing and go, no, it's music.
Yep.
Like, and then you don't have to wonder anymore. But I think I was at that place, and I think you've been at that place where you go, no, this is it, and I'm going to move forward towards it.
And I think you're communicating better what I was trying to say about like the stretching of time around the thing that you're trying to create and where you are in that journey. And like for me, to use your music example, the sunk costs, like, sure, we had sunk a lot of costs into art house. And I think but there would be a lot of, you know, business minded individuals or just smarter people that might look at that journey and be like, yeah, get out.
Right.
Like, even though, you know, you've got a lot of sunk costs, this isn't going great. The timeline is not showing that this is going to end up well for you. And to your musician point, I think the question that I learned to ask when it came to art house is, okay, I'm not getting the thing that I want as fast as I wanted it, but the thing that's in front of me is still worthwhile, good, and worthy of effort. Mm-hmm. And with that, I'm not going to lose out on the vision and hope and belief for what could be in the future. So there is, you know, wisdom to it, that you don't just continue to sink. Like, there were multiple times when the art house board of directors, like, we were at a go, no go place for, do we start construction? Do we buy the building? All these kinds of things. And it was a no go point. Like, we were just trying to be smart with our resources and all that stuff. But that no go point, because it wasn't the end vision for me when I wanted it, it wasn't an abandoned ship, I'm done with it. And I would say, as I think you would say, like, again, just use the example of musicians. So you've got all this sunk costs in equipment and gear and time and energy and practicing, all that kind of stuff. You're not seeing the outcome, that end goal that you want, but what is in front of you, and can you continue to invest in what's in front of you for a period of time to potentially maybe see that happen someday. But even if that didn't happen, I had to get to a point, I think, with Art House and the expansion, that what if this thing never happens? Is the thing still in front of me? At the time, it was Art House being the small single screen, and it was the Babcock being open. Is that still a good, worthwhile work for me to invest my time and life into? And the answer was yes. So we continue to do that, and we continue to try to make phase 2 a reality. And so I think from a musician standpoint, you know, my encouragement, for whatever reason, would be like, where you are, what's in front of you, what are you doing, and if it's a worthwhile effort, even though it's not the big grandiose thing that you want to see happen, man, that's still good, worthwhile effort.
Yeah.
And don't abandon don't sell all your guitars and all your gear and equipment just because you're not, headlining, a national tour or whatever that is.
But you see that happen.
It's common.
A lot.
It's really common.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, it's one of those things where it's like, well, it makes the playing field a little more manageable, but at the same time, you hate to see some of those people stop. And even, in my case, it's like the Will, who owns Grindhouse, whenever there's a competition and somebody wins and like some of the best guys aren't at the competition, he's like, that's not the competition you want to win. And you're like, oh geez, like that kind of sucks,
thanks.
But you want to be, you want to be among the best and hang with the best, like when some of my favorite people, even in Montana, aren't out, or in Billings aren't performing their songs. It's like, well, I don't know, like I would rather have them out there than not performing, because
I mean, obviously we can't speak to every musician, but I think there is something really interesting. You and I have talked about it a lot, like around music, that the connective tissue of the internet allowed music to kind of the opportunity for your music to blow up all of a sudden, and your audience to grow exponentially without any sort of, record deal or anything like that. Obviously has just shifted the music scene, but it's also shifted the musician that's what success now looks like.
Right.
And so if you're not doing it, well, you don't do anything. And for me, this is, old man moment in the corner. But I think like I'm interested to see, and I'm most fascinated, and this is part of the work of Art House in my mind, like what are the smaller moments, the smaller things that we can find, highlight, and celebrate, and like that's winning. That's the huge tournament, But it's for Billings, and you're not playing a giant stage. You're not playing Kettle House in Missoula or whatever, But man, you got 100 people or you got 60 people in a room, and there was something really magical and beautiful and amazing that happened. That you got to be an instigator of that. That's huge. That's success.
Right.
That's winning. And I'm not saying that you should abandon, again, that long-term vision, but like finding those things in front of you is worthwhile and meaningful. I know you and I have talked about it with our kids, like just me with my guitar in the living room singing songs with my kids, and they want to sing these songs with me. Like that, all right, that's magic. I'm in.
Yeah.
Like, and maybe that's it. And that's what music was for hundreds of years.
Totally.
Like that's all it was. And it, and so it's like, what in me is thinking this is not success?
Yeah.
I should sell my guitars. Like, no.
Yeah.
Screw that. I probably don't need to buy 10 more guitars like I want to, but I could at least use this guitar, use what I have in front of me to do something. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great, and I think that's part of it too, is that perspective shift. And it is hard to change your perspective on your goals and your dreams. But really it's just to say that maybe your dreams weren't the most realistic thing or the most beneficial thing for you when you were 19. You don't know what you need the most, but the best thing is whatever one of those things you were talking about, like, is like edifying to the soul and the community or your home or your family and your legacy or whatever. And, a lot of those things look different. It is unfortunate that a lot of times optically people want to see what it is that you've done. Like I told you, when people were like, I'd have people be like, "Oh, you played at not Art House. Same deal for me. Red Rocks. Like, you made it." It's like, I sold out the Art House in Billings, Montana, dude. Like, I don't know. To me, like, maybe I'm biased, but like those things are like, if I look back at my year and I say, well, I sold out the Art House and I sold out the Yellowstone Valley Brewing Company, and then sold out the workshop, and then probably sell out the Monty. It's like, if I can do that in my community, like, I feel so loved. But when I wasn't doing those things and I was just complaining about, oh, people aren't coming to my shows, that's, I think, when people give up. They don't realize, like, if you build that thing, like, your success just, your perspective changes on the success. And then
and I think and it's hard because there are times and moments when someone is successful to the degree that, like, the ego wants, and we quickly and easily want to belittle that success. It's like, well, so someone played Red Rocks, let's say, and you sold out Art House, and there's a party that's like, Red Rocks sucks. I didn't want to do that anyways. Art House is that's where the real music happens.
Totally.
That kind of energy. And it's all, I'll just point at myself. Like, it's personal for me that I, you need to just kind of heat check and be like, again, what's good in front of you, and lean into that, and what's good in front of them. They get, like, how can we kind of celebrate that? Because I think that, to your point, like, that is what people respond to and connect with. Like, nobody's looking for a musician that's just grumpy about other musicians' success.
Totally.
And that's all they're doing in their personal life. Like, how do we, which I think, you're trying to do with this podcast and through a lot of the work you're doing, which is connecting musicians around, like, how do we like celebrate and point at the good thing in front of all of us, whatever that thing is. And find and celebrate that together.
Yeah. Because that's, I think, and I've always, I have, what's funny is I was thinking, I was like, nobody's ever going to say Red Rock sucks. That's whatever. But I have seen people do that. They're like, oh, whatever. You played Red Rocks. Yeah. And it wasn't towards me or anybody, but, like, just like the hate, the internet hate, or the angry musician that's like, well, it's not a jazz club or whatever. It's like,
or I could do that. That's not hard.
Yeah. Big deal.
If I played Red Rocks, I could do that. Whatever. No.
And so it's funny. But I'm totally the thing that helps me not get jealous or complaining or grumpy is just going, okay, if anyone is succeeding, like we all succeed.
Yep.
Like if somebody is doing better, and that opens the doors for all of us in some way, possibly, potentially. Like each thing that we're doing is just creating this wider path for everyone. So it's like, rather than thinking of this as a competition, it's like, no, if we succeed, like all I want is somebody from Billings, Montana to like charge the way so we can all, like we've talked about, like all follow that path.
Sure.
Like that would be.
This is what
the
it looks
thing.
like this, because I think, at least what I've heard you talk about before, not to put words in your mouth, but like, what does it look like to be successful as a musician in Billings, Montana? Because the path that is most common, and correct me if I'm wrong, is you got to get out of here.
Yeah.
You go somewhere else and there's success to be found, but it's not here.
Right.
And the thing that you're talking about and working on is, no, there is a path. It's very not worn and not apparent, but there is a path and there is success to live and work in Billings and be a musician that is successful.
Yeah. And
whatever that success looks like.
Mm-hmm. Man, because I think then people will stay and our community grows from that. Yep. But we just are.
Well, for me, again, to go back to Art House, like that's a lot of the conversations we're having as a board, as a staff. Now that the thing is built, we've created it. How do we use this as a platform for our community to again, to use your analogy, to wear that path that people can see Billings is a place with art and culture, and really great people are here doing really, really incredible things. And it's not just get out of Billings and then you can be successful.
Yeah.
There is success to be found here, and we can continue to your point, celebrate each other and hold each other up and help the identity and narrative and story about who and what this place is. Yeah.
And I love that about what you're doing. The Babcock is, obviously a minor setback in those plans, but just knowing and talking with you and thinking about how that is going to impact the community even more is just so exciting for me, because I don't have those avenues. I'm trying to find them, like opening myself up to newer opportunities or helping, like connecting with musicians that I've never connected with before, because I've been so insulated with my, my Eric and my Bill, and you get kind of stuck. And so, trying to do that. And I think what you're doing inspires me, and maybe what I'm doing inspires you or somebody else. And we start creating this big, form of momentum for our community, more than we've ever seen. So I'm excited about that. I think having you a part of this community, just to tack on to you leaving the church, is been really interesting and beautiful. Like you taking this mindset of, I was thinking of it as like how much of your faith plays into this thing, like your faith in a higher connection, higher spiritual connection, and higher way of being. How much of that plays into what you're doing for your faith in the community, your faith in your friends, your faith in art, your faith in yourself. It's like, do you ever sit back and think about like what gives you that superpower? Like, I'm using like, I don't feel like I'm being hyperbolic.
No,
but
I appreciate that. I think about that regularly. I think about it daily. I know based on my time in the church that the narrative and the story that we tell ourselves about who we are and what this is around us, this world and thing that we continue to interact with and wake up to every single day, the story I tell myself about that is one of the most important pieces of who I'm going to be and how I'm going to go about. If we go I can go nihilistic. I've had moments and seasons in life
Sure.
where none of this matters. It's just all like, what are we doing? Why bother? Like all of that kind of stuff. Seasons of what's happening in the world, what's happening, that's just like, who am I? Like,
What's
why?
the point?
Why would I even care?
Mm-hmm.
Same moments in just here in Billings, Montana. There's 120,000 people. Who am I? Why would I? That kind of thing. And so I think for me, the challenge has been in stepping out of what I would just call traditional conservative church evangelicalism, whatever word you want to bring to it, like to find there is a narrative there. But for me, as I was saying with the work Kate and I were doing with CMYK, like what is an authentic narrative that feels as true and honest as I can be? With obviously there has to be some belief attached to it.
Yeah.
If there's no belief attached to it, then why get up in the morning? Like why
Right.
bother with any
Right.
of this stuff? So I am naturally an optimistic person. You know that. Like every bottle I've ever interacted with is half full, independent of what that reality is. It's a good thing I have my wife in my life because she's like, no, that's actually empty. But I don't know what you're seeing, but that bottle is empty. And I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure it's half full. Like, you just got to look at it. That's just my natural, like, I'd be lying to say anything different. Like, that's just how I see the world. And so I've been made fun of, and like that's fine. Like, but I'd be lying to say that that's not me.
Yeah.
So there is something about that personality,
It's
how
just
I'm
inherent.
wired.
Yeah.
Nature or nurture, not sure,
Sure.
but it's there. And so, in the midst of that optimism, the choice of what is the narrative around this optimism, and what really matters, and what do I really care about, and what am I going to lean into when it comes to that belief, and to your, I know you didn't ask me specifically what specifically do I believe, and I'm not going to go on a rant on the 10 staple beliefs of Matt Blakeslee. That's not about to happen. Don't worry. But I think at the core of that belief, yes, there's optimism, but there's also mystery. There's something magical, divine, really interesting and fascinating and unknowable, and to use Christian terms, holy. There's something sacred. Like there's something here that this isn't just flesh and blood and stone and wood and I don't know what it is. But I'm fascinated by it, and I love having conversations about it, and I love exploring it in the midst of what I get to do. There's a magic to art. And that's why I lean into what I'm leaning into, that moment in a room with a musician, whether it's 2 people or 200, 2,000 people, doesn't matter, where you feel that magic and you're like, I can't. And you've probably read similar things like, yes, it's vibrating, frequencies that are vibrating our bodies that are causing us to feel certain things. Sure. Yes.
Scientifically, subatomically.
Yeah. But I love the mystery of that too.
Right.
Like I want to know the science. I want to dig deep into that, but there's something mysterious about that. The mystery of you and I sitting down to watch a film, and I'm
Spinal Tap.
Sure. This is going to sound really weird now. I'm weeping and emotionally moved because of what I just saw. That's really where I was going. So thanks for this. And you're laughing and think it's the most hilarious thing ever.
Right.
But there's validity to both of those responses. And for me, the magic and the mystery of like, let's talk about that. Let's explore that. Let's be honest about that. Together. And obviously it happens with music, it happens with visual art and mediums, all those kinds of things. And that, so for me, again, to go back to the community piece and the, like, okay, I'm not doing church stuff anymore. I'm still incredibly fascinated, and I'm so excited that every single day, most days, I get to wake up and think about and process what that means for our community and bringing people together to have that connective tissue around that mystery and magic, in that space. Yeah, those spaces.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And these are the 10 things that I believe. I'm just joking.
What's cool about that is that there's always, like, and we love that we can, like, name these things, but there's always still going to be a why. I think for, like, those things, like what
a why behind what?
Yeah, you could say like we're
you do what you do.
We're experiencing these things this way.
Yep.
And there's like a scientific explanation for it, which deepens it and broadens it. But then at the end of the day, you still say, well, but why?
Yeah.
Like, what's the point of these atoms vibrating and connecting with each other and doing this thing and us feeling this way? Like, it just keeps that mystery alive to me. And
I think, yeah. And, I mean, you know this, but a big part of, again, CMYK and the work we were doing there and still foundational to where I'm at is this idea that I could be wrong. And so much of my faith experience up to that point had been around singing these songs and making these statements of this is what I know that I know that I know that I know.
Right.
And many times, that can easily translate to independent of what's happening or what you're seeing or what you're experiencing, you still are telling yourself these other things. And so for me to work hard to deal in authenticity and reality, but rather than go down the nihilistic path of like, none of us know, it doesn't matter,
Right.
to be honest about what I do know, what I do hope for, what I do believe, but also holding it kind of light.
Right.
That I could be wrong. Like
Right.
this is kind of where I'm at, but I could be wrong. And to see the magic even in that.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that is the beauty of art versus politics or religion.
Yeah.
Politics or religion are usually, you dig in a trench to know
Not
that
the
you know that
same.
you know.
Yeah.
And you're trying to stand on those, whatever they are. And there's something about art that you and I can disagree that Spinal Tap should make you cry and sob, to your
Right.
earlier point, or no, it should make you laugh. And both are valid.
Yeah.
And I'm not here to say that you're wrong in your experience of the art. There's artists that I love that I know that you're not a fan of, and vice versa.
No.
Yep. Yeah. Do you want me to say it?
I listened.
Did you?
I loved the song Magic.
Okay.
Are we talking about Coldplay?
We're talking about Coldplay. What else are we talking about,
I'm
Parker
saying
Brown?
Parachutes is one of the best albums ever made, and it doesn't even
Agreed.
land on your
It's
list.
great. It's when you okay. All right.
This is a great segue
So
into
to
songwriting.
go into all right. Now we're heated. We can talk about God. We can talk about all right. I don't
Hold
care
on.
about that stuff. But
This is a funny quote that I heard yesterday that ties into this. It
Okay.
said, "Argue." It was a songwriter podcast. It says, "Argue like you're right, but listen as if you're wrong."
okay. I did it.
And we're gonna do that
Okay.
right
So
now.
to speak to my optimistic,
Let me turn the gain down on. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
that was good.
While you're yelling at me.
Anyways, I love Coldplay. And I will go through periods of time where my wife is worried about my mental health because all I do is watch Chris Martin interviews on YouTube
Right.
for hours. Because that man, he's a embodiment of a Muppet that just cares so deeply and loves everyone.
Yeah.
And I love that, and I'm so into it, and like that is just I'm in. So all that to say, I know Coldplay gets
Yeah.
so much hate,
They
and,
do,
and I
yeah.
can understand it, sure. But at the same time, to go to what you were referencing, I was asked to point out the best albums of Coldplay, and I didn't put Parachutes on there. Rush of Blood to the Head is on there. Parachutes is awesome. They're all awesome,
Sure, but if you had to pick
Yeah.
5 that you took to the desert island,
Parachutes wasn't on there, which was your problem. So
yeah,
I told you had to go listen to Ghost Stories,
yes,
which is your reference of Magic, which is a great tune.
correct. Thank you for filling in those
Yeah, no, I get
gaps
it.
for
Yeah.
us. Because I wouldn't have. I would have moved on. People would be like, what just happened?
People don't know what we're talking about. Yeah. So, anyways, so you said you wanted to talk about songwriting.
I think we
and
should.
that was a great segue.
What are we at? We're at 47 minutes. When do you have to leave?
49. No, I'm just joking.
No.
I'm good for a little bit.
Okay.
Yep.
I think so. Make a theater, pastor, theater maker, and then creator of music.
Sure.
Too.
Yep.
And that was also part of your story. You had mentioned that, like, singing these songs and proclaiming these things. Like, Matt was a worship leader at Faith Chapel for a long
time.
long
Yep.
time.
Yep.
And then wrote his own. I feel like you've never been satisfied with just doing things the way that they've been, like cookie cuttered out for you either. So like you started writing your own worship songs.
Yep.
And then that has segued into you writing your own
songs.
songs.
Yep.
About life and
Yep.
and otherwise.
Yeah. So, as we've talked so much about music and art, it's a huge part of who I am in music. Again, film is not my forte. Really enjoy it. But music is the thing that I can, I would love to talk about it all day, every day. And again, I'm not an expert on it, but there's something about me and my just love and joy of what it is, experiencing it, but then also creating it. And so getting out of church world, that was the lever to pull to create music was in church world. And so with that no longer really being a part of my life, have been in this space of, well, what does this look like? So, in I think it was 2021, you engineered and produced a record with me.
And with Jordan Steingraber.
And with Jordan Steingraber, yep. And so we did that, and that was an effort to like just, it honestly like kind of get a lot out that I was like just as a songwriter, again, knowing that other songwriters probably listen to this, like, you go through these places where you like have this batch of songs that you believe in and you think are meaningful and important, and it's hard to move on from them to do other things. And maybe that's my own immaturity as a songwriter, but that's where I was at.
I agree.
Of like, I want to do other things. I want to do more things, but I feel like I haven't honored this thing yet. And so that was that process. And so it was called Fare Thee Well, and was kind of a transition process for me of stepping away from so much of my identity that had been up to that point. And so, but to your point, like didn't have like a path of like, well, now I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and then I'm going to start here. It was just like, I'm going to do that, got it out.
Yeah.
And enjoyed the process and everything about it. But then since then have been in a place of, writing songs. I did the Songwriter Challenge with you a couple years ago. Came out with a lot of stuff, and kind of currently in that place again of like, I've got 52 songs. They're not all great, as you know, but there's something there in the midst of that. What do I want to do? And I don't yet know. Candidly, there were some thoughts and work in motion, but then the ceiling collapse at the Babcock happened, and it was like, well, I guess this is what. This is the mystery the universe has delivered in front of me, and so I guess this is the good work in front of me right now, rather than like, forget the Babcock. I have my music, So not to say that that's going to go away for years and years, but it's
until this gets.
There's questions to answer before I go back down that path.
And I wonder. I mean, not that the ceiling collapsed. It was like wait a second, Matt, don't do your music. But it is interesting to think if because. And this will be a question that that because you have these songs, and I've struggled with this too. Like, who is the Parker Brown that I want to start moving into in this next 10 years or whatever? Like, who's the Matt? But maybe you're not quite ready to. Because you have a large variety of songs you could choose from that sort of like would define how the next stages of your musical life play out. But I don't know. It kind of fascinates me. It just makes me think more, because that's what I'm like going through is like, I really want to be like a lot more intentional of like, okay, I want to kind of start sounding like this in my till I'm 55 or whatever. Like, because, before I was like, I'll do this rock song, I'll do this funk song, I'll do this, and then now I'm like hard to define. But,
Yeah, I've always said to you and about you, like your one of your greatest strengths is your greatest weakness. That as a musician, you've got a really big tool bag that's just like, I could do this, I could do that, I could do this, and you are very gifted at all of those tools. And so you could easily go down any of those paths and probably find success, but because of how large the options are in front of you, you get, you potentially, I'm not saying you have, but you potentially get stuck, or you chase this for a little bit, then you chase this for a little bit, then you chase this, and meanwhile, to your point, you're not actually going in the direction or building the thing that you want to build and go. You've got a whole Home Depot in front of you as far as options. I'm a guy with a hammer.
Well, no,
and I'm ready. And so, but what do I do with that hammer? I guess to your point, I'm not trying to self-deprecate. I'm just saying, like, it's the same question. Yours is a much more challenging answer, I think, because of the options in front of you.
But no more important, because I think with your songs, you could go. I'm hearing almost all. Well, no, I think I've heard all of 52 of your songs
Yep.
And
I mean, they
some
were available.
multiple
If
times.
you listened,
And I do
great,
believe
Parker.
I did.
Okay.
But just that you could go in multiple directions, and I
Sure.
think that's difficult, like a difficult thing.
Yeah, I think, do you want a band? What kind of band do you want? Do you want to just try to do the solo thing? Do I want to try to just record by myself, and what I can layer on top of things and try different things? And those are the questions I don't have answers for. But I think, to your point, like if I were to set out around like there's a vibe, an experience that I'm going after, and to do that I need these instruments, these musicians. You all of a sudden have a path in front of you that you get to do that. But when you don't know what the answer to that question is, and again, to your thing, you can do a blues centric set, on electric guitar and just rip the room and feel like that's it. And then you can do a singer songwriter, just you and acoustic, and rip the room.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's it. Or you do a more, some of your soul, kind of driven stuff. And it's like, that's it, know. And there's just so many, facets of how you could go about it. But to your point, like, I think there is something to be said about like, this is what we're going to go after. This is what we're going to do.
Yeah. It's almost, and I guess, using we're just like I'm just creating this whole thing around the ceiling caving in, but like you do get the time to like slowly subconsciously like build the right path, which I don't. I'm like trying to do it all in real time. Like each gig is an experiment and a data collection, and it's like exhausting and frustrating, and I know that frustrates. It used to frustrate Eric all the time, but like, if
and even your listeners and people that love you, they connected with that ripping guitar solo, and then they show up and it's like, you just got really vulnerable for like an hour. Where was the guitar solo?
I've had people like,
or vice versa. They're like, what happened to vulnerable Parker? And you just entertained us for an hour? What was that? Like, that's not what I'm here for, which is just increasingly challenging. Because I think what you and I have experienced is the musicians and bands that we truly appreciate and come back to again and again and again have a little bit of that identity that you're trying to figure out, or I'm trying to figure out, that there's a reason, there's a personality. We were saying it earlier, there's a personality we've connected with this, so we want to keep going back to that personality to interact with that. Yeah. But if it's a multi-personality kind of person, sometimes it can be confusing and frustrating, and we just like, I don't know what to do, or we just find an album that we like of that artist and we just go back to that album, but we've just lost touch with everything they've done since then. Coldplay. So anyways,
fair.
There we go.
Ray LaMontagne.
Yeah. His newest one though, buddy. I told you. Did you listen to it? I told you to listen to it. It was like a year ago now.
Yeah. I listened to some of it. Dang it. It's hard.
This is now the podcast. Parker, have you done the things that I asked you to do?
I'm trying. I'm listening to the Coldplay.
Good. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. I'm with you on Ray. Ray's a great example. That first couple albums just have a vibe that just, and this is what I would say about Coldplay. Turn the gain down. They were writing those songs when they're like 18, 19, 20 years old. The songs you were writing and the things you were processing and the art you were trying to create when you were 18, 19, 20 years old versus where you are today, night and and so for me, I get why a fan would connect with those albums and no longer connect with where they are. That's fine.
Yeah.
But for me, this is where I do get heated around Coldplay. To think that they've sold out or they, whatever. Like, no, they're just, I believe, and I could be wrong. I've never met them, but they're just doing the best. They have all these experiences, and they love these giant stadium shows and the energy and the vibe and the work that's done in those spaces. So they're writing songs for those giant stadium shows. They're not sad 19-year-olds that wonder if someone's going to love them
like
someday.
Playing in a club. Like Parachute sounds like they play in clubs.
Yeah. So anyways, that would be my thing of like, it's fine if you don't connect with their later albums. That's totally great because they are grown-ups.
Right. And
and that have decided, to your point, this is what we want to do. Yeah. And you could not like that thing, that's fine. But I think they're at least being authentic and honest about this is what we want to do. Yeah.
And I think that's another fascinating thing about artists that get big is, and maybe you started to see that with like around XYZ and
It's called
La Vida.
It's called X and Y.
X and Y and Z.
And Viva La Vida.
La Viva La Vida.
La Viva La Vida.
Viva La Bam.
Velveeta,
Velveeta,
the album.
La Vida.
With cheese.
But, yeah, Kings of Leon.
Sure. Dude,
Only
where they
by
started?
the Night, I think.
Well, that's when their sound got big.
Yeah,
and they got big as a band.
Yeah.
But those early albums are just
club,
a bunch
punk.
just a bunch
tour.
of drunk dudes
Yeah.
that are angry and questioning
Ripping.
and wondering and going for it.
Yeah.
And I love it.
And then you get that, Only by the Night, the white cover with
red and black.
Oh, dude.
You're doing so good.
But it sounded like, they're like, this would sound awesome in a stadium.
Yep.
Like, we're going to play this way. And
Yep.
maybe they're used to playing in a stadium, so that influences their
Yep.
sound. So, that's just, I've always found that fascinating, how that changes an art, how you start to interpret your art for like where it's going to be shown.
Yeah.
But
I think, so much of the like jazz records that are, Mount Rushmore jazz records, like those were in clubs. And to think about that album being played in a stadium, it's almost like that. It doesn't work. Like something's lost if it's not a dark basement.
And that did kind of
somewhere.
happen to jazz, I think. It
Yeah.
started to get this huge stage, and like people just like don't connect with the albums or that medium the same way anymore.
Yeah, we've talked about it, but David Byrne has the album has the book How Music Works.
I've always wanted to read that.
Again, another thing I've told.
Dude, okay. Well, at least I have this recorded. I can make a list.
But it's so much for me. There's a lot in that book, but what I really appreciated was towards the beginning. He talks about music is about context and art in general. I would say, but like it's the space, the environment, the context you're bringing to what you're experiencing that makes that experience like pop or not so much. So an orchestra in an orchestra hall makes it pop.
Right.
An EDM concert in an orchestra hall. Not going to pop the same way. But an EDM concert in a big, lights and club and lots of people just sweaty and everywhere, pops.
Yeah.
Orchestra in an EDM club, what are we doing?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great to think about. Ooh, I want to go down rabbit trails of that. Should we talk about, normally I want to talk about at least one of the songs from the Patreon.
Okay.
My camera overheated. No matter what. Yeah.
Too hot to handle. It's the subtext of this podcast.
Yeah,
too hot for TV.
Hashtag.
Yeah.
Oh, we're back.
And now the podcast is me watching Parker play with his camera. He's framing himself correctly. You look great.
We're back.
We never left.
We're there still. We're still down there.
The question is, you're video recording this. What are you going to do with the video recording?
I don't know.
Exactly. So we're on an audio podcast talking about the video recording that might not have any sort of... It will.
It's just going to have some blank spots.
Okay. I can't wait.
Just that scream that we used to get when we were kids when the TV was out.
I can't wait.
Oh, I got a plan. That's what I'm going to do. At least we have audio.
So do we get to listen to... I mean...
Yeah, I would play it, and we would listen to... Maybe because we don't have time to do... listen to all of them. Maybe we pick.
And you posted 3 recently.
Yeah.
Is it out of those 3?
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Do you want... Was there one that...
The one that I texted you on.
The...
I'd have to look at my text. I apologize.
Settle Down? The
Yeah.
country one?
Yeah. Well, now I need to look at the text.
I think it was Settle Down.
Now this is a
So
audio podcast
I'm going to use
with
this.
video
I'm going to
where
use
we
this
look at
for
our
those
text
of you
messages.
who are here just because Matt Blakeslee is here. The whole point of this podcast is really to draw you into the spider's web of my Patreon page.
Settle Down. That was
Settle Down. That's the one. So if you'd like to support me as an artist, head on over to Patreon, www.patreon.com/Parker. Dang it, what's that called? The bottom one. The
underscore?
Underscore. Yeah,
Okay.
underscore Brown.
Sorry, I wasn't sure.
Yeah. No, I totally
bottom one.
blanked. The bottom line. So, yeah, this is about supporting me as an artist so that I can make more albums. And, let's listen to Settle Down. I think I can bring it in here without feeding back, maybe. This is a song that I wrote last month and put the drums and Foo Fighters guitar over.
So this is you're doing everything?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
that
played
was
drums.
part of my question. Yep.
Yeah, drums,
After listening
bass, all the guitars, and sang it. And I thought it turned out. Oh no, this one. Yeah, this one isn't the Foo Fighter guitars. That's the Nothing to Lose.
Have you listened to your music?
This one is me playing drums and bass and guitar, and I think I put pedal steel on it.
Okay.
We'll see.
Now I'm fascinated to know what Foo Fighters guitar is, but let's listen to this.
Okay, I'll show you. All right, here we go. Sweet grass still high on the prairie, while snow covers my feet on the street. Below, settle down. They told me, oh, that rambling it might never let you go. The sun leaves its mark on this valley as I follow the river to another shore. Settle down. They told me, oh, that rambling it won't never let you go. Oh boy, oh, that rambling it won't ever let you go. Go on, ramble a little. So many songs about trucks on the radio. While I'm trucking through Colorado, settle down. They told me, oh, that rambling it might never let you go. Now won't you find yourself a nice girl to marry? 2 kids and a dog in the yard. Make yourself someone we can depend on, and don't let that rambling take you far. Settle down. They told me, well, that rambling it won't leave you alone. Settle down. They told me, well, that rambling it might never let you go. Settle down. They told me, well, that rambling it won't leave you alone. Settle down. They told me, well, that rambling it might never let you go. Oh boy, well, that rambling it might never let you go.
Love it. So now you want me to say all the things I love about it?
Well, you don't have to.
Can I?
Yeah.
So I texted you when you shared that song and said, like, just so great. So great. And obviously I've heard, I think, probably most of what you've done over the years. And, there's a lot of highlights. I think for me, the reason this one resonated so strongly was, probably because I'm getting older, and this is just the dad in me, but like I'm finding myself enjoying more of, like, when it comes to bands, like what I call like a pocket song, where like the band is just sitting in this pocket that just feels great.
Yeah.
And that whole song could just be sitting in the pocket and you just feel great the whole time. The way the singer's singing, the drum, like everything. But what I love is those pocket songs that then have these little spring ups of personality, and you can feel like the band is having just as much fun as the listener. And the pocket is great, but we're also kind of dipping in and out of it every once in a while. And this song, I think, lyrically is communicating some of that fun and joy of a pocket, you know, kind of thing. And so it like what you're trying to say lyrically, I think is emulated really, really well musically. And then just the for me, this is going to sound really weird, but I don't know how else to say it, the master class in playing with yourself. That you do, because it's all you that you're playing all these instruments, but like just the way that, you know, the pedal will jump out, but then, you know, the tellies kind of do like, and they're interacting with each other. It feels just as joyous and fun and awesome and interesting as everything you're also singing about and saying. It's not taking itself too seriously, but it also has some lines and some moments where you could sit and think about and ask questions around a line that you said or things that you're doing. So for me, it's interacting with this personality of Parker Brown, and I just want to sit in that pocket and watch you just dip and dive and duck and do all these different things out of that pocket the whole time. It just smile on my face, love it.
Nice.
Even, you know, the way it ends, the way that, you know, the walk up that you're doing in the towards the outro, like just little interesting stuff that's like, well, that wasn't in the pocket, but it works and I love it. Let's keep it going. Yeah. And you never know what's coming next, but every time that left or right turn happens, you're happy it did.
There's a little bit of excitement with that. It's not just like this flatline thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
But again, the pocket piece, even if it was flatline, still great. There's still plenty of songs out there that like you could have just and we've listened to plenty of 8-minute country songs that are that with 6 verses, you know,
and we never want it to end.
And we're fine. Yeah. It's great. And the dancers are on the dance floor and everybody's having it. That's great. But what you did here was that plus these dips, dives, and ducks and dodges
and dives.
Sorry.
I love it. I appreciate it.
Yeah. The 5 Ds of Parker Brown's country music.
Well, that's a great movie, by the way. Yeah, movie buff over here.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, you're really flexing. There's Citizen Kane, and there's Dodgeball. There it is. It took me a second. But I got there.
Spinal Tap 2.
And Spinal Tap 2.
I need to get over and see that.
It's great. It's really, really good.
I really want to see
it.
Yep. Dude. All right, quick Foo Fighters guitar, and then we'll go.
Okay,
I'm gonna do 2. I was gonna do 3 just because this is the 51st songs of which I feel like is kind of a monumental
51st.
51st. I don't know how do you say that. That's why I just said 50th song, but it's really the 51st song.
Yeah, I was gonna say 50th is kind of a big deal.
Yeah,
but people in marriages, the 51st year is the one. I get it.
Yeah, because
not the 50. Anybody can do 50.
Anybody can make it to 50.
Yeah, 51 though.
Because a lot of people give up. They're like, okay,
usually
we
you get to 50. You're like, I'm done.
Done.
Yeah. No, you did 51.
We actually signed papers when we were getting married that the 50th year was the last year.
Really?
No, I'm
I love that I leaned into the thing that you were doing, and you decided to just abandon ship.
I could have really.
Yeah.
No, I care about you too much. Okay. See, I'm changing.
I know. I was at your wedding. I know you didn't sign paperwork that you're done in 50 years.
In front of all of our friends, we would like to just say that after your...
I'm trying to yes and you. And like, yeah, I was there. It was, I mean, it was weird, but we were into it. Like,
it was a
fine.
weird
You guys
wedding.
were in love.
I wish we could talk about that wedding right now. Special wedding. If you're going to get married, you might as well do it weird.
Oh man, yeah, we could talk about my wedding.
Yeah, I think weird. Yeah, with the things that you think like you need to do for your wedding, and then you're like, wait.
Again,
why?
The staples of this is who I am, this is who I will always be, which makes sense. It's now we're going down the path of the wedding. We don't need to do that. Okay, let's listen to the Foo Fighters. Is that what we're listening to?
Yeah, this is the Foo Fighters. I just said Foo Fighters guitar, but this is like a Bob Dylan Desire era song, but inspired by seeing Jacob Dylan in the Wallflowers the week before. Okay, so I wanted to write something like that.
Got it.
This is nothing to lose. And this is really just for me to get off my butt and do things that I want to do. Let's see. It's got to be starting. All right. We won't listen to the whole thing. We'll just... I wouldn't play the victim. Ironically, everything I did or said found its way on back to me. but it was so hard for me to see. Well, I felt like I was all alone. There was a world gathered around with me. And when I stood up to take my shot, I heard something I could not refuse. Say, you got nothing to lose, nothing to hide. You're only leaving yourself behind. And someday you'll have to choose to get in line. It's only a matter of time. You got nothing to lose. You say all we have is time.
So when you wrote that, are you in a mindset of all of those parts and pieces are there and you're ready to track them, or are you got the song and you're kind of self-discovering as you go on to something like that?
It's like I know that I have like the basic like outline of what I'm hearing in my head after the song is, well, kind of when it starts, and then because it started as acoustic guitar, trying to get a demo out by Tuesday night, and then I'm playing acoustic guitar and starting with that, and like, oh, this needs a starting line, this needs this, and then so that all happens with acoustic guitar, and then as I'm playing the parts, I start getting like the more of the idea.
Yep.
Like I know I want it to rock this way, kind
Yep.
of like,
Yep.
but where it takes form, and then I'm like, oh, these I want to do, like, because I've been messing around with like stacking distorted guitars, kind of like Foo Fighters
Yep.
or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and having them like just make this big sound, but then also having like counter melodies within them, which like your average person isn't going to hear, but
Yeah.
like,
Well, it adds to the texture. It adds to the feel. Yeah, and I think that's felt. And I asked that question because, again, it feels like you're having a lot of fun. There's a lot of personality coming through, and like you're just to not use the statement I used earlier, interacting with yourself.
oh yeah, musically,
in ways that I'm really excited about what you're doing, because as someone that's recorded music with you over the years, like we know what it's like to lay down an idea, and then like you're just trying to layer things on top of that idea until you kind of find it. And this doesn't feel like you're just layering things on layering things. It's like you've got the acoustic guitar and what you're doing there and your vocals, and then you have this personality coming through, and and you have all of these different people in the room, if you will. And you know where you want those people to be and what you want them to do. It's all you, but all these different instruments compared to just throwing more things on it, hoping it to get bigger and bolder. And this is not that, and I really like that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think that's like learning from like when We Were Young, which Matt recorded and or engineered, produced, and emotionally supported me all the way through that process, which we're both proud
Such
of
a
that
good
album.
record, and I'm not saying it because of me. I was telling you the other day.
Yeah.
If you haven't got back and listened to We Were Young, Parker Brown, in a long time, go listen to it.
Thank
or if
you.
you've never listened to it, go listen to it. There's a as I told you, an energy, a youth, a joy that I kind of had forgotten about.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
No, I should go listen to it.
As somebody that's connected, obviously, with your later stuff and what you're doing now, like to go back to that, there was something that I just was like, this is so good.
That's cool.
The
means a lot.
artistry present, your band, everybody doing what they're doing is so just top notch.
Thank you. And we kind of touched on that sort of thing, like learning how to do that.
Yep.
And then I think like leaning into that post-COVID of like, well, I'm making these demos of my songs, but they all feel really bad when it's just me by myself.
Sure.
And then learning how to kind of construct it like I'm playing live in a room together has taken, probably 5 years. But learning from people like Will Honecker, learning from you, like just how to do that.
When I think to bring this full circle, I mean to think about that album and where you were then and where you wanted it to be, and like when we met and we talked about, hey, you were asking me if I would be a part of it, and I was obviously honored and excited to be a part of it. the timeline that we thought it was going to take, the amount of work that we thought it was going to take,
yeah, right,
and the time that it actually took, and the amount of work that it actually took. We recorded drums twice, some songs 3 times, because it just wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
And to do the thing that you want to do sometimes takes a heck of a lot longer with a lot more effort and energy than you ever thought imaginable. But you just keep plugging away with the good thing in front of you. And that album is that for me of like, man, there's a lot of beauty and good things there that you like worked hard. You had some hard conversations about we're not there yet. We're not there yet. We got to keep pushing. We got to keep trying. And I think it shows.
Well, there were times where I was like, I don't think I can finish this. And then it was like you're bringing your first album into the world and how insecure I was at that time and like emotionally like just broken almost through the process. But then you were there to push me through. Like it was just like a really magical process. And so it's nice to have that rest, but then come back to it now after almost 10 years. Yep. I think we're almost on the 10-year.
Yeah. Yeah. So all that say, I want to keep pushing you through, Parker Brown. And since you plug yourself regularly, I'm going to plug, if you haven't signed up for Parker's Patreon yet, sign up for Parker's Patreon. And it's not, he always makes it about this value, like you're shopping online right now for how can you spend the least amount of money and get the most songs. This is not the Kmart of music. This is, you could go and listen to anyone or do anything with the resources that you have, yes. But there are choices that we make, and in those choices, we decide what we think matters and what's important. And here is a person in front of me that matters and is important, not just because of who he is, but the art that he's creating. And so your, hard-earned resources could be spent, but they're spent on investing in not just who he is, but in your ability to interact with the art that he's creating. And I don't think, yes, you can go watch 1 billion shows on Netflix and stream 1 billion songs on Apple Music or Spotify, just like we talk about at Art House. You could stay home and stream all day long, but we believe there's something unique and different about being locally connected to your community, coming and watching a movie, and sitting in the same room with a room full of strangers. And I would say that same thing about your music investment, investing in some music that you know the guy, you can interact with the guy, and there's something different there compared to listening to 1 billion other things on Spotify.
Yeah, thank you. That means a lot.
Plug. Done.
Oh, wow, I'm going to,
Also, you get like 7,000 songs for simply $4.99 or whatever you say all the time, which is great. I understand the logic, but let's go a different route, Parker.
Right, okay. I like it. I'm going to.
And this is going to double your Patreon. No,
I hope so.
I don't think it will, but I hope it does.
Who knows?
Yeah, you never know. Or everybody tuned out an hour ago. And
all right, who made it to 1 hour and 54 minutes? Raise your hand.
Yeah.
Crickets.
Speaking of, I do need to get going.
Okay.
I love you, Parker Brown.
Love
Thank
you,
you for inviting me on.
Thank you.
For the magical 51st episode.
No.
The staple in our culture.
Yes, the randomest number. 17th episode.
Oh, okay.
17th episode and 51st song.
I'm glad it could be me, man. It had to be somebody.
The fireworks were supposed to go off.
Yeah, they did.
Apparently they did.
Yeah, we're still working on that.
All right. Thanks, Matt. Love you, buddy.